Hello, intuitive art friends. Thank you so much for being here. We love you. I just want to open up today saying this is about your personal connection with your inner wisdom. There will be no prescribing here. And we really just wanted to make a space to figure out what your part is and what's going on in the world right now. If there's no anything. So we love you. And we, of course, stand for equality and justice and all the good things, all the love in the universe. It's also Pride Month. So we're including everyone in this. And we're just going to ask the questions. So, yeah, I think it might be nice to kind of start with a little conversation, Carrie, of anything that's on your mind, or if anyone in the audience has a question that they want us to address, go for it. So yeah, why don't we open it up? And hello, Dina. I see a couple other people are here live. So if you have anything you want to say or ask, please put it in the comments. I can see them.
So Rachel, my connection's not so great. Can you see and hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So what did we title today's conversation? Because that will help me.
So today's conversation is, we're asking our higher selves, what is my part in all of this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking about this. When we say all of this, right, what are we talking about? So right now, as we're recording this live, it is yet another moment in our history where there's widespread protesting around racial inequality. This time prompted by the murder of a Black man by a police officer. But not just that, right? Like a series of events leading up to that. And we're in the middle of a global pandemic. And the thing that I was asking myself this morning, because Rachel and you had a conversation the other day about, how we're choosing to deal with racism as I will declare myself a middle-aged white woman. I don't know if you're ready to declare yourself middle-aged yet.
Not quite, yeah. Almost.
Actually, that's not even true for me. I expect to live longer than I'm nearing middle age, we'll say that. But and I just talked about how I'm showing up differently than I have in the past. And less concerned about who I might offend, mm-hmm. and more concerned about speaking the truth, or the truth as I know it, and feeling brave enough to admit. I think in the past I've been so afraid to come across as insensitive or ignorant because of my own privilege, that I just have like erred on this side of saying nothing. I don't know, wildly appropriate things. And this time I'm showing up differently. But beyond that, the question I was asking myself this morning was, if I know I created that, right? If I know I'm the creator of my own experience, what am I doing? So I don't know if you want to unpack that with me, but there's a lot in there.
Yes. Well, I think that's a good jumping off point, because I too feel more called to be in this movement this time. I mean, this is nothing new, which is why it is escalating so much right now, because we're all finally seeing, wow, this keeps happening. And as a human, it doesn't feel good, right? Like, just as a human, this, I wouldn't want this to happen to anyone. And so the difference for me is that I feel stable enough in my well being to actually approach this with love and overflow. And I have to be really careful that I don't immerse myself too much in the details. And that's okay. That's okay for me to not know every specific and not read every headline and not read every Instagram comment and still be an active participant, because I do my best to stay on the positive side of the vibrational scale, because I know I'm no good if I'm down at the bottom. I can only deal with myself at that point. I can't help the world from there. And that's my view. It doesn't have to be your view. It's okay if you're dealing with this in any way that you want. And I'm totally understanding of everyone's anger. I'm not saying don't be angry. But I just know for me, I can't overflow my well being unless I'm in a good place. And so that's changed. I feel a lot more stable, a lot more able to participate this time than I have in the past. And that's okay too. It's no one's wrong here. From like the high view, we all signed up for a crazy wild ride and we're getting it, right? So it's up to us to decide, how do we want to play? How do we want to be a part of this? And that's a really personal thing. So that's why we're here consulting our higher selves to see, what is my part? You can even change that to, how can I be most beneficial to the world right now? How can I be most beneficial to myself right now? Because that will move you in a direction of having more overflow. So, yeah, I don't know if I unpacked what you said, but that's what I've been unpacking for myself. Oh, I think you're muted.
That's better, huh? So here's what comes up for me when we talk about this. Like when so I don't watch the news, right? So when I walked by the television that my husband was watching and saw, oh, there's been another incident, right? Like I had this response of like, I mean, God, this is like so. It's terrible that I'm censoring myself right now because I know, like, okay, this is going to live on YouTube forever, right? So I'll just say that I was like, I walked by the television and had almost like a shoulder shrug. Like, I don't know about it. I don't want to see anything bad. I don't want to pollute my experience with that, right? Which, and again, nothing's wrong. But I didn't experience initially outrage. I experienced sadness and apathy.
Mm-hmm.
I experienced like this almost like I mean, of course, my heart hurt for what had happened. But it was almost like this, how is this the new normal? Was kind of how I was feeling. And powerless to do anything about it. I think, I guess there was a difference for me this time, though, of I've been guilty of feeling like I can have compassion from afar, but it wasn't affecting me directly. And pretty quickly, maybe it was, I don't even remember if it was discussion about it or if protesting started right away. Like, I honestly don't know. But pretty quickly, there was something that shifted inside of me where suddenly it felt, I know what it is. It was president, probably. Like it felt um, really personal. I think watching, as someone who considers herself a leader, watching the lack of leadership and then really bad leadership um, got to me, and it made me recognize, so what is my part in this? I'm a leader, right? And so my role is to show up as a leader and to show up in my sphere of influence in the best way that I know how. And being a leader means being imperfect, right? It means being vulnerable. It means being courageous. It means being willing to make a mistake, and means being willing to be first. And I wasn't first by any stretch of the imagination. Um, but I know that some of the things that I've done, and things that I've done right now, I have not marched. I have not gone to the protests, which I think maybe is a luxury that I have, right? That I was able to like look at the protest in my neighborhood, recognize I don't think it's going to be safe, and choose not to go. Um, but one of the things that I've been is more vocal in my social media presence, right? Which honestly, I wonder, like, am I hiding behind my keyboard? Is this the best activism that I can muster? But I think that's what we're all supposed to be asking ourselves right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My job is to show up in my strengths. And one of my strengths is to speak my imperfect truth. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're doing
And
exactly right now.
It's caused a little more controversy than I expected, which has been interesting. And I have been an observer of other people's responses and wanting to recognize we're all on our own journey and we're all at our own phases of development. But my husband and I have had some conversations where we're like, I don't think we can be friends with them anymore. And that actually feels really good, like really, really good. Um, it feels like those were friendships that we were doing things out of obligation or out of habit or out of whatever. And suddenly we're like, oh, good. I don't know. How's it been for you?
I haven't seen any controversy, but I don't look for it. You know, I've been posting on my social media as well. I've been donating my money to a bunch of different places. Um, I've been learning, realizing like how big of a bubble I'm in. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I love my bubble. I love seeing only what I want. And I'm still more deliberately than ever, like seeing the world as unified, seeing everyone as equal, seeing what I want to see, because that does a lot. That, aligning to that world, that vibration is work. It is doing something. Um, but I'm also wondering a lot. I guess I'm thinking about it for maybe the first time in this way. Like, how does this person go through life? How do they feel? I grew up in a super white place. I knew two Black people, um, maybe four until college. And then I went to a predominantly African American college. And, I noticed, of course, that I was the minority and it was different, but it wasn't different. Like, everyone is still the same. Everyone is a person. And it wasn't, like, it wasn't a big deal. But I don't have a lot of Black friends, and so I'm a little removed from the situation. But I think when I realized I do have a part in this is a couple weeks ago, I read a post by one of my favorite hikers that I follow on Instagram, and he was talking about people not wearing masks on trails in LA, and how he was upset about that. But then also at the bottom, he touched on, and he's like, I don't have a place in this. I don't have a say. And that just, it hit me in a way of like, but we're people. Like, it's it's a Black issue because they have been systematically oppressed, but it's a person issue because these are people and we love them. You know what I mean? And so that let me know that, okay, I feel this way. I want to help. I want to be involved. And it might not be happening for you. That's okay. I spoke to someone today on the phone who isn't really paying attention and doesn't know what's going on. And that's okay. Like a personal journey here. But if you feel like you have something you want to contribute, we can do this drawing today and find out what that is.
I'm going to just pause for a second or not pause, but I'm going to let you keep talking while I close these doors in my office because there are people in the backyard and the dog's about to bark.
Okay.
But I didn't even know that was your experience, Rachel. I had a really similar experience.
Huh.
Grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood, there were lots of people of all sorts of different races, except it seems Black people. And my naive view of the world at that time was that um, the Black people in my school didn't experience any sort of racism because of their socioeconomics. Like I didn't realize until young adulthood that they had a very different experience in high school that I did, and that was actually devastating to find out. But I went to a predominantly Black college my first year, and that was eye opening too. I went from California I moved into Tennessee, and that was a whole different culture shock for me too. But it did open up my eyes to how naive I had been and how I learned about racism in history class, and so I just figured it was history.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was current events, even though I lived through the riots. I was insulated from the riots in the 90s in LA. Like Rodney King was happening, and it seemed like that was a problem somewhere far away, but it wasn't because it didn't affect my little bubble. And I think it's great right now. Honestly, I think it's affecting our bubble. I said I was going to get up, but now whoever was in my backyard is gone. So, the there was an incident not too long ago about a woman in the park who called the cops on a Black man, and I don't even know all the details. I never really saw the report on that or saw anything about it, except for that it was just sort of saying this woman, this is the problem with racism, right? She knew exactly what she was doing. And at that moment, there was sort of a call to middle-aged white women to be better than that, like to do better. And maybe that's why, I don't know, maybe that's why I felt a shift. But I find that interesting that we had like such similar experiences in terms of like experiencing race as young people.
Yeah. I mean, I remember I was in first grade, and the first Black person I ever met in my entire life was named Rachel, and we were fast friends. And, I mean, it was amazing. The thing is, though, she didn't stay in school for more than, I don't know, 3 months. So I don't, and I don't know the story, but yeah, it was very strange. I definitely noticed my friend's parents being racist growing up and knowing that wasn't okay, but I didn't know I could do anything about it. Like it's a weird world. And I think we're realizing more than ever it's not okay to treat people like this. And we do have a voice. We do have a voice, and we can talk about this, and we can share about it, and we can make it okay to fumble and grow and do what we can, do what we're inspired to do, because I am inspired to do something and it feels good, you know? Okay, should we draw? I think you're muted, but as you're muted, I'll tell you, Carolyn is here. She says, great questions. Dina is saying, I love it when you process your thoughts, Carrie. You're always honest and vulnerable, and it mirrors some of my processing as well.
Oh, Dina, I'm so glad. And I'm halfway on the screen because I'm grabbing my art supplies. So taking my earbuds out for a sec.
So if you don't have your supplies, go grab them. Thanks for being here, by the way. You know, I just love our community. You know, we're all in different places. We all have different thoughts in our heads. But I feel like we can come together with clarity and love, and that's all I can ask for. So thank you. All right.
So I have something that isn't clarity and love, but can I
Yeah.
say it before we
Yeah.
draw?
Mm-hmm.
I'm finding myself more judgmental than ever when it comes to, which is totally unfair of me. Like I recognize, but I have a friend who posted something, has posted several things that have really triggered me, um, because this is a racist friend. Um, she doesn't see herself as racist, but she's used the N word in like, which I think is like the epitome, right? Ugh. And um, a lot of things, I keep her in mind as I'm thinking about the actions I'm taking, not like because I want to show her how wrong she is or prove like, but I keep her in mind because I don't want to be her, right? Ever. I don't want to be insensitive or ignorant or believing that I'm, well, I'm not racist because, right? Like defensive. Um, but yeah, she's really, really triggered me. And not just her, like several people um, who I honestly am not sure what to do. Well, like I said, there's people who now I know we're not going to be friends anymore, and that feels good. Um, but yeah, I kind of don't know what to do with uh, people who I love. It's made me think of, okay, I remember when Trump, I'll just come out, I'm anti-Trump, or at least I don't want to be anti anything, but I'm definitely not on the Trump bandwagon. And when he came out and there were neo-Nazis and he said there are good people on both sides, right? Now I'm here in this moment where what I'm looking at seems pretty black and white. And I don't mean race, but just seems very clear. And I have friends who are good people, right? People who I actually know and have respected. And I know that there are shades of gray in every argument, but like this one seems so clear to me. It seems so clear to me that like, how could you argue the other side on this one is I think what I'm getting at. Anyways, you guys are watching me process live, but I just wanted to say that like, I am really triggered by people who um, I believe are good people. But I don't want to be that person who says, well, there's good people on either sides of this. um, because it does seem like from my limited perspective or my broadened perspective, I don't even know. It just seems so clear. So I am struggling definitely. And I don't think I'm alone in that, in how to be.
Yeah. Well, it, you know, it really depends on where you want to come from. So in my world, if I want to be aligned with my greater self, the place we're going to for answers today, there is good in everyone. Everyone is good, right? Everyone is love. Everyone is the same. Everyone's the divine source being. And we're here to experience this kind of stuff. We're here to make mistakes. We're here to have contrast in our lives. We're here to then choose something else, right? We're here to make mistakes and then decide, oh, wait, I think this other thing will feel better. And if you judge that from the human point of view, it's it's going to feel terrible. It's going to feel debilitating. There's so much stuff happening on this planet that is completely awful, more awful than you could ever stomach, right? If you look for it, it's there. Horrible things. But if we focus there, it expands, right? What you focus on expands. Where you put your creative energy, your focus is creation. Where you put that focus, you expand whatever that is. I don't want to expand that, and I don't need to. So where I'm coming from in all of this, and I'm triggered, I see, you know what gets to me? People telling people who are actually doing something that they're doing it wrong. It's like, can we ease up on the criticism right now for people who are trying to be helpful, right? So I don't go there. I don't read the comments. I've had enough of that. So I'm looking to where I want to look, where I want growth. And so I'm looking at all the amazing things that are happening right now, like all the donations that are coming in, all the organizations that are finally feeling heard and getting funding, and the protests that are so peaceful and loving, and the cops that are joining in, and all the attention that like Black-owned businesses are getting, and how we're listening to African American people and what they've been going through, and they're feeling heard. And you know, we can look at either side. Of course, there's bad stuff happening, right? That triggered this movement. So, but I don't want to grow the cause. I want to grow the solution. So that's what I'm choosing to do. And you could choose to do that too.
No, thank you for saying that, because I think I am. Oh, it's that. Oh, did I freeze? There I am. I think I am most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
really do. I think I am most of the time. And I am an eternal optimist. And so my choice of looking at any of this, even um, even when it like looks like, oh my God, is it seriously getting worse? I thought it couldn't get worse. There it is. It got worse. Like, are you kidding me? There it is. It got worse. I am choosing to remember what you said, right? That this is, at least my worldview is, everything is happening for the highest and best of all parties involved. And so knowing that this is, or choosing to believe that this is the birthplace of something better, and choosing to focus on all the ways, just like when the pandemic hit, right? And I was choosing to look at like companies that were stepping up and people who, so thank you for that, because I definitely, before this conversation, was a little bit triggered by a comment that I got. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome.
Shall we go on?
Yeah. So again, what is my part in this? Or how can I be most beneficial to the world right now? You choose whatever you want to draw, and then we'll share.
Okay, I'm doing it now.
Okay.
right.
So if I've had any kind of controversy, it's been internal controversy, and it totally came up right here.
What is it?
All right, I will decode for y'all. Okay. So I know people at home, Carrie and I are fast, so if you need some more time, finish your drawing. You can come back to this, or you could pause the video if you want to. But this is what I got. So all around the outside is my creativity color. And it started out, I was using the pastel like upright. And so it made this like ribbon. And then I moved it to make the whole wash of color, which I thought was very cool. And glad to see that it's green, my favorite color. And then this heart is my color where like I know what will make me happy, but I don't always do it. And since it's a heart, I'm feeling this as the answer to a question I had a couple days ago, where what do I make public right now? I live an extremely blissful life, right? Do I share that now? Do I hold off from being too happy in public right now? What do? I don't want to disrespect anyone. I don't want to take away, but on my walks, I notice the roses are still blooming, right? Nature's still happening. And I really don't need to dull myself down because there's something else happening. My radio station doesn't take away from the other radio station, basically. So I love that this was my answer. So my answer is live in my joy, live in my love state, and be creative. And that is how I can be most beneficial to the world right now. And another question you can ask at the end of your drawing is, what am I inspired to do about this? What am I inspired to do about this? And that will give you an action step. So, I still plan on doing things. I'm going to donate more. Actually, I got an email today from Susan Harrow, a publicist, and she was promoting a class, a fundraiser class. That's not quite right. A writing class that is a fundraiser with Alexandra Franzen, who's a really well-known writer. And Alexandra's hosting this class, and she'll teach you how to do all kinds of things with writing. And you just have to make a donation to go. And I thought that is an excellent idea. So I might even do that, which is maybe where this creativity comes in. So yeah, what am I inspired to do about this will get you that action step that you're looking for. All right.
I love that. I love that I love that someone else thought of that, but that seems like such an easy way to use your own gifts, right? Because that's what we're all here to do. We're here to use our gifts and use our joy. It's so funny how when you're talking, right, and you're like, do I not show up as joyful? And I'm thinking, of course you show up as joyful. Like, of course you do. You don't stop showing up as you. But I think that we're all going through this like self-censoring thing at the moment where it's, how do I show up? Which isn't wrong, because it's about deliberately choosing who we want to be, right? Making our choices deliberate. And I love that. But like when you were talking about the way you were censoring yourself, I'm like, well, that's just silly, even though I'm going through exactly the same thing.
Yeah, well, that's why it's good to talk about it, right?
Yes. Yeah, and I think it's about using our platform, no matter how big or small, right? Like how big or small. Some of us, our platform is literally our family, but that's a difference making. Okay, here's my drawing. So I asked the question, how can I be most beneficial to the world right now? And this is what I got. So that like bullet looking thing or eyeball looking blob in the middle, which to me looks like it's sort of in a tunnel. That is my color for something new and divinely guided. And so, so I'm just going to leave that there for a minute. And then this sort of off-white color, that is my color for remembering to allow guidance. Well, it's basically my color for, hey, Carrie, you're not allowing guidance. So just like you had that heart about not like, oh, are you allowing? I also got that color, which is just a reminder, like something new and divinely guided is about to show up or is showing up, maybe already has. Allow that, allow guidance, allow it to come. Open your eyes to it, open your heart to it, be receptive. And then this color, those of you who watch me, you know, oh, my red. When red shows up for me, it is a little bit of a double-edged sword. But ultimately, the feelings behind red are passion and fervor and for me, what makes up my red color, the same things that have some people in my life saying, whoa, Carrie, pump the brakes, you're too much, is red. But also red is those people in my life saying, oh, Carrie, thank you. Thank you for being brave. Thank you for, I love that about you, right? So red brings up a lot for me, but ultimately it's about taking inspired action. It's about living in my passion and my fervor. And passion's such a weird word for me because like, if you ask me, what are you passionate about? I'll be like, oh, but then you get me talking on certain topics and I realize like, oh, I am fired up about this. And so it's living in that fired up place. And what I know about it now is that if I don't, it produces overwhelm and anxiety. Red is really about honoring myself and whatever's got me fired up and whatever's got me passionate and taking inspired action there. So how can I be most beneficial to the world right now? So I picked up red, I put it down, and then I picked it up again and drew an X. And so I feel like that's the big reminder. Like, yes, something new and divinely guided is always coming for me. Yes, I need to be open, but freaking red right now. So that's how I can be most beneficial to the world right now is when something new and divinely guided comes and I get fired up about it to take inspired action.
Love it. So if you did a drawing at home and you want to share about it, put it in the comments and I'll read it. You can also post it in our Facebook group. The link is in the description box below. We would love to see it. So we just got a question if there will. Yes, absolutely. So feel free to watch this again, even if you want to, or share it with people. We would love that. By the way, Carrie, your hair looks amazing. You're muted.
I was talking away. Well, thank you. I have a friend who just sent me a new shampoo sample and it is totally working. My hair is way less frizzy, so I will be buying. I was actually in the process of buying shampoo from her. Yeah, super excited about that. And you said something. Oh, will there be a replay? There's something you said that got me thinking. I guess it's just about this, though. I don't even know where this applies. This started to happen for me before the Black Lives Matter movement really had a resurgence. Like I was all about Black Lives Matter, right? as it popped up the first time around. And I don't think it went away, but it certainly left from like what my area of I don't know, I don't want to say excitement, that isn't it, but it just left my like immediate field of view for a while. Um, and it came back. But before it did, I was starting to feel really passionate about um, just taking a stand and being more courageous and worrying less about what other people think, and dancing less around other people's feelings. And so it's interesting that then I guess this answers my question that I asked from the beginning. Like, if I'm creating this, why did I create this? Um, I think it is, I think all of us want to live fully in what we really believe in, or what makes us feel. It's our gifts. Like, one of my gifts is just honestly getting lit on fire about stuff and then talking about it and lighting other people on fire. I mean, not literally, but yeah, igniting the spark in other people is probably a better way to say it. So there you go.
I love it. I'm just going to check the comments one last time. And I think we've got it, you know? Obviously, the conversation doesn't end here. Go to the Facebook group if you have questions or comments. You can comment on this YouTube video. But we're here for you. We love you. We know that you have all the answers that you need inside of you. And, you know, let's see what we want the world to be together and align to that and act in accordance with our inspiration to help create that on a physical level as well. All right, friends, we love you. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.